I'll show you guys what we're dealing with. This is a Homelite curve shaft, 26 cc. Yeah, 2016. Yeah, 2016. It's one of our package deals we bought when we got that Ryobusis. We got $5 wrapped up in this trimmer. One thing I just noticed though is when I tipped it up to look at the year, you can see there where it's all wet, that is where water just ran out of the muffler. So yeah, winter. But anyways, we'll try it. I'm pretty sure I did try turning it over. Yeah, it turns over. Doesn't turn over very well, but it turns over. And the other thing I noticed is this is the one I was showing you. It has the carb where the whole top half of the carb's missing. So I decided to go ahead and do this one next. As you can see right there, the whole top is right above the choke lever there. You should be able to see the primer, and it be gone. So we're going to try that, and the throttle is stuck. It doesn't move. So it's stuck, I think, wide open. So we got that going on. So carburetor without a doubt, you know, no buts about it. But the thing is, will it start? Well, it'll start, but try for one. See if we can get this freaking plug out. Hopefully this fits it. See if anything flies up out of that cylinder first. Oh man, I don't know. This one might be a basket case to work on. This might just end up being parts. If you guys can, I don't know if it's picking that up or not, but it's definitely wet on the inside. There you can see there, it's wet and rusty. So let's crank it over with no plug in it. Let's see what we get. Try to get it to where you can see it. My guess is it's getting ready to spray, or at least chuck something out. We're about to find out. Oh yeah. Good Lord. Man, now that sucks. Well, that still doesn't mean it won't start, you know, just because it's a little damp. There we go. Yeah, it has compression. So we definitely got compression, but if you can see down in there, well, you can see my thumb, this thing is, the cylinder is just totally trashed. There's water all through it. So I have to get the plug out for sure, obviously, but it's going to have to, we're going to have to get that cylinder to dry out. So we'll let it sit for a little bit. I'll mess with it and try to get the cylinder to dry out some, and then I'll drop some fuel down in what's left of the carburetor, and we'll see if it'll try to come to life, at least enough to know that it's worth messing with. I'll tell you what, actually, we can, instead of playing the waiting game, so I got this old used plug out here. See if we can see if it's getting some spark. Try to anyway. Hopefully, be nice. And if we can get it to do anything. I'm not seeing anything. Be nice to get the plug to. Let's try that. See if it'll jump across the bottom. Down onto the cylinder down in there. Of course you can't see it. Well, we might just have to wait for it to dry out. I am. And here's a longer one. About out of options here. Alright, we might be able to see something here. Yeah, it's throwing some spark, so it's firing. Just have to get that cylinder dried out. Once I get it dried out, we'll we'll see what happens. I don't know if it's picking that up or not. I'll show you all this. Alright, see if I get to do it again. This is all, it's got some kind of piss gas on it. All that. Gotta do it some more. It's all coming out of the cylinder. Good Lord, man. That is just wild. And I got water coming from everywhere. Alright, well, we'll get her dried out and see what happens. Alright, so disassembled for the most part. I've got, well, what's left of the carb off, the backing, the muffler. This muffler is, and this thing is saturated. If it's picking it up, this thing is, it's just soaked. You can see there, you can see this water. You can hear it. This thing is just loaded with water. So it'll have to dry out. I don't think here's the gasket. The gasket broke. No big deal, but I have to look, see some of these parts trimmers I have, see if one has a muffler like that. Steal the gasket off of. That one is probably fine once it dries out. But so I have to wait for that to dry. The cylinder itself, I shined a light down in it and rolled it over, and the cylinder looks nice, shiny silver, no grooves, but this thing, you can see all the rust water on it. So there's a good chance. There is a good chance it'll run. Here's what's left of our carb. Practically nothing. And its throttle was like super stiff. It ain't even worth. There it goes. It ain't even worth the hassle of rebuilding. I mean, you could if you had a sonic cleaner and you had the if you had the rest of the parts. But you could throw it in a sonic cleaner and clean it up. But I did forget all about it. Came today, and heard the dogs barking when out there. I ordered this for that Ryobi that we just done. It was part of the package deal with these, $5. Went ahead and picked a carb up for it, and I'm pretty sure it's the same carb as this Homelite. So I might take, once everything gets dried out and we get it cleaned up, I might go ahead and throw it on here. It's a complete kit. Got, you know, your whole new carb. Everything looks, it looks like it'll mount right up. And it's in the listing. It had Ryobi listed, Homelite, and a couple other ones. These things are all pretty much the same thing. But they're a complete kit. And a couple filters, new primers, spark plug, a couple air filters, fuel lines, adjustment tool, you know, the whole shebang. Like $18.99 from Hipa. Well, on the ads, this is what I'm wondering, because it's on the, I don't know, that's the number right there. But on the listing on Amazon, it was underneath the Hipa brand name. But usually, when you buy anything from Hipa, your spark plug, when you get it, it'll have a Hipa logo on the plug. But anyhow. Got a fly down here driving me nuts. So now it's in the process of drying out. So the cylinder is definitely wet. The muffler is soaked. I mean, it's got water running out of it, and this thing stinks so bad of fouled fuel. It is crazy. And you know, You hear the old fuel filter in there rolling around. I mean, this thing's been used and abused. But so it'll take some cleaning. So I have to clean the tank up before I put fuel lines on it. You don't want to put them in with it like that. You take a chance of getting all that crap down in there. So I have to get it clean, flush it out. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and put the carb and the lines on, and the muffler still has fluid in it. Still waiting on it to dry out. I may end up putting it in the oven or something just to heat it up and get the water, get it to dry out. But so now we're going to go ahead and do the carb. So you got 2 nipples, but see, the upper one here is your return, so I can get it on it. So you have your return and your main fuel line. If you hook, the way to tell, if you can't tell for sure, just get you a piece of line, hook up to it. I'm pretty sure the bottom's where it pulls in from to prime the carb. So what you want to do is you just hook a piece of line up to it and you pump it. Then put the other end on your tongue, or you can take this end, hook it up, put it in a like say a bowl, some kind of liquid or anything where it can create a bubble. Push it. It should pull air in through this one and blow out the end and create a bubble. There's multiple ways you can do it. It's easiest for me to just slide one on, stick the other end on just on the tip of my tongue, pump it, and it's either going to push or it's going to pull, one or the other. So this one's case, it's pulling in from the bottom, pushing out from the top. So that way we know main fuel line and return line, which is which. So here's our tank. The trimmer is actually on its side, so the tank mounts has 3 screws. You got one in the center and one on each outer edge. Sets like this. So your fill cap goes the same side as the carburetor. So it's just like that. So in this one's case, the return line is the farthest one out. So if you're holding the tank like this, farthest one out is the farthest hole out would be I'm going to use for the return line. And you got to figure your return line only has to be half an inch, 3/4 of an inch into the tank. So all it does is just turn it, pushes the fuel back in. And so we use the one closest to the cap. We'll run it down and put the filter down in here about the middle of the tank, and we should be good. So I already got a couple lines that are prepped. I just trim the edges where it's at an angle. Just get a little bit of, you can use 2-cycle oil, grease, whatever you might have laying around. You just don't want to, you can create a mess if you're not careful. So we'll just put a little bit on it. And here's our return line. We'll get it in there, went in kind of easy. If it goes in too easy, you may end up having to get one of those barbs. This kit didn't come with them, so I'm going to try it without them, see how it goes. If it seems like it's damp or if it leaks, then I'll take it back out, put the plastic barb. I'm out. If I had some, I'd put them on, but I currently don't have any. But if you got them, you might want to put them on, or you just put them on and you just give it a nice little snug pull, and it gets that barb up in there into the plastic with the line. Helps expand it a little bit, helps give you a little bit better seal. But like I was saying, I currently don't have one, so I'm kind of out of luck there. But if it does act like it's going to leak or doesn't want to seem like it's sealing right, I'll just pop them out and redo it. It's simple to do. So just get a little bit of grease on there. So this would be our main line. Let's see how well it goes. Looks like the lines are the same size. Some of them you have larger lines, smaller. This kit actually came with 2 size lines. It came with the bigger one you see here, and it came with a smaller one. It's way too small for this tank. But you got to remember, these carburetors, they're universal kits. So they fit multiple items. So there we go. And this one fits a lot better. So you can reach in there, start pulling it in. Draw it down. You can kind of look into your tank as you're pulling it in. You can look down in there. You can see roughly where you want it at. And then when you got it where you need it, just get your pair of nippers or a good sharp knife, whatever you might have, and just cut it flat. Like so. And your new fuel filter will pop right on, hopefully. Some of them I've had to put a dab of grease on before because they're like really tight going on the line, which isn't a bad thing, and you just know you got a good seal. There we go. And you want to make sure it's all the way up. So on the filter, it's got, you can see how it dimples down, it comes out, then it dimples in a little bit and then comes back out. I was like trying to get the line to where it's like up over where it dimples. Personal preference. And I'll get my filter back in there. And you kind of take a look, and it's actually a little far forward. Just give it a little pull. There we go. So it's just on the other side of where the screw is that holds the tank on. So it's right here, just past it. So we should be good. So take the tank and throw a couple screws in. Nothing's tight. I don't have it. None of this stuff's tight. It's all set and loose, just because of, you know, having this tank completely apart. Tighten the screw up a little bit. Star bit, I believe it's a 25. The tank, you could actually probably just put the rest of the way back on. It's not going to make a difference on it. Once the lines are in, you're pretty golden. There's that one. And now for the third one. There we go. So our tank is back on, both lines, fuel filter. Now you can bring up your lines. So you just got to remember which one you got which. Like I'm saying, this one, our outside one, is our return line, so it's going to go to the outer. Our inside one is our main fuel line, so it's going to go to the inner. Now this carb is different from the original. You can see on the original one here, it doesn't have, like, this is part of your choke mechanism right here on this carburetor. I'll show you. You can see the two levers. So when you engage your choke, even though you're moving your choke handle, those two still stay locked together. So this is the part I'm always leery of, because it doesn't release until you hit the throttle, then it releases. But now your main fuel line, when it's setting up air, you got to kind of give it just a little bit of an arch if it's showing it to where it's making it past those. So when you set your choke, you're not hitting your fuel lines, because if you get it, you pull it tight and you put it up in there, you can see there it's right up against the two, and you're constantly going to be rubbing on it, and at some point you're going to wear your line out. So easiest way I know to do it is get you just a little bit of an arch, hold it up there to that nipple, so you're going to get a little bit of an arch. You can see how he's panning out a little bit. You can see how it bows out away from the linkage. So I'm going to cut it right there. Always cut off a little extra. In case you need to shorten, you can shorten it up a little bit at a time. Which is better than cutting off way too much and then having to redo everything. Line collapsed on me. Oh, that's a new one. There we go. So now there we go. So it's up here, pretty decent amount, good enough. And now you can see what I'm talking about here. You can see the linkage when you set the choke. It's not hitting the line. So if we ran it short to where, because I know a lot of people run them to where they're, I'll show you on this one. If I can get that to come off. There. A lot of people will run them to where they're just like real tight and it's just like a perfectly straight line. In this case, you don't want to do that. If you do, it's going to be rubbing on that, and it's just going to, at some point, it's going to wear your line out, without a doubt. I about guarantee that. These things need sharpened up. There we go. So here's a return line. And our main fuel line. So there we go. There, you know, a lot of people do not like their lines being bowed out like that, but it's not like real bad. And it's this carburetor's, you know, you're kind of out of options with it just because of the way the design of it is. It's aftermarket. It's not OEM, but it is what it is. So it's already got the gaskets in place. So let's take the screws out. So here's our gasket. So you see around on your chamber, you can see the groove that's in it. So your gasket that you're using should have a hole in it. This one's case, it sits at the bottom, I believe. Is, oh no. So to match up with the carburetor actually is the hole. I think the old one's at the bottom, but the new one's at the top. So you can see your hole right there. So this gasket will have to go this way, which is fine because it still puts it in that chamber. So we'll have to go this way with it. We're going to hook up our throttle, which is just cable throttle. It goes right in the hole right there. Easy peasy. So we'll set it there, and you're going to have your filter cover, your screws, start them down to your carburetor, get your gasket on it, and just line it right up, drop it down. I can't remember, I think this one might be a 25 as well. Nope, this one is a 20. So it takes the star bit on the carburetor is a 20. And we'll get them started. I'll zap it down there. I prefer not to do the drill, but if you have an adjustable drill, it's no big deal. You can change your setting to where you can't over tighten it. You ain't gotta make them like Lou Frigno's trying to tighten them down or something, you know. Just get a little, good enough. So there we go, that's that. That takes care of the fuel lines. So new carb, two new fuel, new main line, new return line, and new filter. Your cap just pops out. It's just got a, well, some of them will have it and some won't. This one happens to have the little plastic piece. Just put it down there, you can just bend them. They'll pop down in. All that does is hold your cap in place, helps keep you from losing it. So that's a done deal. And turn it right back, right side up. Tear everything up. And get our new plug in it. It's supposed to be pre-gapped. Alright, we'll see where it's at out of curiosity. We're about 25. So, that should be good enough for what we're doing. So what's the actual odds of this thing running? I don't know. Getting tight. Make sure your plug wire clicks. That's it. The only thing left to do is once the good old muffler there dries out, you can still hear the water in it. So that's what I'm thinking. I think I might just get the gasket the rest of the way off and maybe stick it in the grill or the oven or something, just to try to speed the process up of getting it to dry out. This thing, you can see how it's been wet for a long time. But once it dries out, we'll get all that back together, get the muffler on, and you got to have the back cover off. The muffler slides out the back, so you got to have your black cover. This one here sits just like that, so it has to come off to get your muffler on and off. So once it dries out, we'll get it back on, get the cover back on, and take it outside and see what happens. There we go, made it outside. So see if we can get this waterlogged Homelite to do anything. I hope. Primer's working. Actually pumped up pretty good. I'll zoom you out and we'll see what we get. Hopefully it fires up. This thing was in pretty rough shape. Choke. Try to do some adjustments on it. This thing, it's rough. Wrapping pretty good. Let's try bump the idle up just a hair. And we'll try the low side. Then see if we can get it to where it's going to idle. Hopefully. Pretty good with just adjusting the, that's just an idle adjustment, so not bad. Try to get you guys in where you can see it and too much blur. Alright, on your adjustment, a lot of people ask, but on this one's case, the two adjustment screws, the one on the left is your low and the one on the high, on the right hand side towards the air filter cover is the high setting. It seems to be running great actually. I was hoping it would, and it's idling just enough where everything works like it should. Got on just enough to where you can see the spool is not turning. Just got this, just like right at that edge. Bump the idle up anymore, it'll start spinning around. Stuff like that. look into. I'm sure it's just either the switch is bad from being wet, the wire's unhooked. If you're all switched, there we go. That style carburetor cover, you can't just choke the air out of it. It has a plastic piece that actually sets out against the filter. So usually if it does that, you can just put your thumb over the carb and it chokes it out. Now we have an issue with, it's not a big issue, minor issue actually. I don't have the stuff out here that I can explain to you how to do it. So if this ever happens to you, so our switch has an issue. So you got, there's two scenarios here. Either the all switch right here is bad, which it's clicking, so it shouldn't be bad, which, yeah, it's not 100% guarantee, but so your switch is either bad or I can't see up in there. I have to wait for it to cool down. So I didn't have that section of the cover off, so either the switch is bad or the two wires that are in there that hook to the switch, one of them is possibly unhooked. That's a really minor issue. You can, this one I'll try real quick to make sure you guys don't work it. Some of these you can pop them loose from the outside, some you can, some you can't. And I'll try it, see if we get lucky and see if this is one of them. Yeah, I believe it is. Could be from where this thing was so saturated with water that the switch is possibly bad. No, the wire is actually unhooked. I'll get you where you can see that. So we just have, I'll try to get you in there. So behind the switch right here, and see if I can snatch a hold of it, but right there's our second wire. So that should be our problem. You can see your wire right there is the prong. Now, what we're going to do is I have to adjust the idle back up a little bit and fire it up. See if the switch kills it. What I have to do is, I don't have no needle nose out here, so it could just be the clips of the prong. It might just not be getting, you know, enough connection to hold it solid to the terminal. Yep, that's all it was. So that wire came loose. If I had, no, I don't. But I'll see if I can get you a good view of it. If you look at your wires, try to anyway. I can't see nothing on this. But I'll try to anyway. But where your wires clip is, so your wire right here. Now they're solid now. I don't know how well it came off, but anyway, you can take a pair of like needle nose. It'd be an easy option. But once you got it on, you can get just a little bit of a squeeze on each one. Just squeeze down on it, and it'll help it bite onto them prongs better. And once you do that, you shouldn't have that problem. But I'm surprised the switch itself ain't bad. After, I don't know how in the world they managed to get all that water in it, but they sure did. So after you do that, obviously that was our problem. So you can just take, and it'll have the stop is on the bottom. You'll be able to see it which way this thing goes. Actually, it probably doesn't really matter, but if you want it to look right, you'll say stop on the bottom. There we go. Just pops right back in. Make sure it didn't. So we're good, it didn't come back off. That's it. I'm pretty sure the cover right there for the air filter, I'm pretty sure I have one of those, and because these are a lot, it's off of a Ryobi, because the Ryobi, Homelite, what's the other one? Some of the pull-ins, a lot of them are really similar. They take this carb, like this carburetor right here was actually ordered for that Ryobi we done in the last video, and so that actually is called for Ryobi. But if you look in the listings, a lot of this stuff you'll see multiple trimmers listed in the description. No matter where you buy them, you'll see multiple of them listed. So we got a winner. This thing runs good. Kind of figured it would, because it was turning over, it had spark, but I mean, this thing was, well, you can see actually all that brown right there on the table. That is all the rusty water that came out of this when I flipped it upside down, that came out of the exhaust. So, and it's still a little bit on top, but then that's it. It runs. $5 trimmer. Cost you, that's a Hipa kit, so it was, I think that one was, it was $18.99 or $19.99. Had it in 2 days. Complete kit. It's all new carburetor, fuel lines, fuel filter, 2 air filters, two fuel filters, the lines, carb, 2 air filters, spark plug, the gaskets. Came with everything. Even came with the adjustment tool down there. It came with the Pac-Man tool. So came with a complete kit. So it's, you know, cheaper to fix your stuff than it is to buy a new one. But that'll do it. We'll move on to the next one here. Maybe this weekend we'll grab one of the other ones, and we got 2 more to go, and we'll see how it works out. Thanks for watching.